Hey everyone, welcome to 996 to Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes finally reaching the 10-game mark. So let's take a breather and see where the Coyotes are at. We were all expecting maybe a couple days off. At some point during the game last night, they were saying the Coyotes would be off for 9 days because both Minnesota and Colorado are shut down due to COVID, but the league decided to push some games from March to Saturday and Tuesday, all against St. Louis. So we got a 6-game series against the St. Louis Blues, which has never happened in NHL history. So it's going to be a bit of a stretch. St. Louis, they won the Cup 2 years ago. They're still a great team, but, Coyotes won last night. Looks like the Coyotes and the Blues are kind of opposite teams. The Coyotes usually come out hot with a stellar first period, maybe second half of the second period is good as well. But then they start to play a bit conservative, protecting the lead or just losing the juice, that offensive juice. Whereas the St. Louis Blues kind of come out of the gate flat, kind of overskating the puck, no crisp passes, kind of sleepwalking. And then as the game goes on, they get their work boots on and they can score a lot of goals fast. And it's like Vegas. Vegas has terrible first periods too, but those second half of the second periods and those third periods, those teams are really good and they could put the puck in the net. So you got to watch out for that. Coyotes need to play a better second half of their game. I know when you have the lead, you play a bit more conservative, and the other team takes more risks. But it was a bit uncomfortable last night, but they got the win. They got the 2 points. That's all that matters. So what's going on? In terms of total points, the Coyotes are 6th in the West. And we all know to make the playoffs, you got to be 4th in the West. But everyone's really talking about nowadays that some teams may not play their full schedule. So standings may be based on points percentage. So in terms of points percentage, Coyotes are 5th place, and they're only 5% behind the Anaheim Ducks. So, you can pretty much say the Coyotes are in a playoff spot in terms of point percentage. What's interesting is the Minnesota Wild have 12 points and are 3rd in the standings, but in terms of percentage, they're actually 6th. They're below the Coyotes in percentage. So, I looked at this stat for the first time today, and Coyotes are in a good spot to make the playoffs. Obviously, it needs to increase more. You got to be over 50%, which they were last season. They finished the season with 52.9% in terms of getting points in games. So that's kind of a bright spot. Even though they're having a bit of a rough patch in the first 10 games, they're right there with the Anaheim Ducks for 4th place. And Anaheim is going to struggle the rest of the season. They can't rely on Gibson so much. So comfortably, the Coyotes are in 4th place in terms of percentage. Goals for, they're 4th place, and goals against, they're also 4th place. Compared to last season, their goal production is exactly the same. They have 27 goals in 10 games, which averages out to 2.7, and they finished last season with 2.7 goals for per game. So even with Taylor Hall last season, they're producing goals at the same rate. I would like the goals for number to increase, but they can score goals. It was just those 2 shutout losses, 1-0 against Vegas and Anaheim, that kind of made the fans question their offensive prowess. But, they could reach that 3rd goal mark easier than previous seasons, but they got to do it consistently. For goals against, it's a bit too high for my liking. They have 29 goals against in 10 games, averaging out to 2.9. Last season, they're at 2.6, so they got to bring that number down. If you look at save percentage this year, I know I'm jumping ahead, but their save percentage is really down to start this season, whereas last season you had a 91.9% save percentage. This season's 90.5%. So yeah, Kemper's having a bit of a rough go at it, even though he's playing pretty good. These teams are facing, when you face Vegas 4 games in a row, and now St. Louis 6 games in a row, they're going to score. It's hard to shut them down, but I think now with Lyubushkin in the lineup, they're going to shore up their defense. I feel like Gross and Bianco, those 2 players, when they played their games, a little too much loosey-goosey in their own end. You need to stabilize that defense and they did a good job of that Thursday night. Power play, even though I harp on it every game, it's actually third place in the division. I was looking at the power plays for other teams, and they're like terrible. I think Minnesota's at like Minnesota, Anaheim, and Vegas are like really poor power play numbers. But I guess keep it at around 19%. It's an increase from last season, about half a percentage point. So I guess keep it going, even though I don't like their power play. It seems to be doing all right. Their PK is 5th in the division. Now, they're first place in the whole league in terms of road penalty kill. I think those first 2 games against San Jose, they let in a lot of power play goals. But this doesn't, just because they're 5th in their division in penalty kill, it doesn't mean that they have a bad penalty kill. It just means that a lot of teams have bad power plays, which is inflating other teams' penalty kills. So penalty kill is good. They're about 2% higher than last season, and I'm comfortable with the penalty killing. They're shutting out the St. Louis Blues whenever they go on the power play, so that's good. Like I said, save percentage is down a lot. That's got to go up. Raanta had a hell of a game Thursday, even though the numbers kind of don't show it, because the Blues scored 3 goals in the last 2 minutes to eliminate Raanta's shutout chances. In terms of possession, their Corsi percentage is actually 3% higher than last season. And going into this season, Rick Tocchet wanted the Coyotes to control the puck more, have more offensive possession, and it's showing. And even the eye test, they're passing with more possession numbers. I've been saying in a lot of my videos, Coyotes are in the offensive zone way more than previous seasons. They're cycling the puck better in the offensive zone. They got to execute, though, with that possession. Just because you have the puck a lot doesn't mean they're scoring a lot. So with that possession, they got to execute. They got to put the puck in the net to make it count. Because even though you have all this possession, the other teams could come back and score goals with very little possession. So they're third place in terms of possession in their division, which is pretty good. As you can see from these numbers, the Coyotes are average, teetering on below average in their division. I'm not comparing these stats to the league because you're not facing the other teams in the league, so there's really no point. You want to keep all the comparisons within your division. So they're average, teetering to below average. Some good increases compared to last season. Possession is up, penalty kill is up, power play is up, goal scoring is a bit the same. They got to get their save percentage back up, and hopefully their goals against will go down with that increase. So looking at players, who would have thought Christian Dvorak would be a point-per-game player? 6 goals, leads the team with 11 points in 10 games. Garland, an elite player. He's really taken this next step this season. And, you know, looking at Connor Garland, he plays better each and every season, which is strange because if you look at a guy like Clayton Keller, who has failed to take that next step, now going on 3 seasons, it's just remarkable to see Garland change his game every season, get more confidence, drive the net. That goal against the Blues Thursday night where he just went around Colton Parayko, who's about a foot taller than Connor Garland, and trips over his own net. I mean, that was such a confident and ballsy move by Connor Garland, who's only like 5'8". So great to see Connor Garland produce. He's one of the best forwards on the team, next to Dvorak and obviously Nick Schmaltz. 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. You know, I was harping on it last playoffs where the Coyotes were actually missing Nick Schmaltz, missing his offensive touch, especially on the power play. I'm sure they wouldn't have won the series against the Avalanche last playoffs if Schmaltz was in the lineup, but against Nashville, Schmaltz would have helped them a lot. Even though they did win that series, you felt that they were missing another offensive player, and that was Nick Schmaltz. Phil Kessel had a hot start. He had 4 goals, I think, in the first 4 or 5 games, but he's been quiet on the goal-scoring front. But he's got 7 points in 10 games. Much better start from last season. I'm pretty sure it took him 20 games to hit the 3-goal mark, and in 10 games he's already at 4. So pretty good for Kessel. He's looking better than last season, a bit more comfortable. So hopefully he continues that. Some of the disappointments in terms of players, obviously Clayton Keller hasn't scored in 7 games. His 2 goals were only against the San Jose Sharks way back when. He's got 4 points in 10 games. He looked better Thursday night against the St. Louis Blue Jackets, but he's got to shoot the puck more and just get that confidence, just like Garland and Schmaltz have that confidence. But I'm hoping Keller starts to produce more. Some other disappointing players, Barrett Hayden, Jason Demers, Alex Goligoski, and Lawson Krause only have 1 point each in these 10 games. So, this team needs more production from their defense. I believe Jacob Chikrin has 6 points in 10 games, so that's good. But Goligoski and Demers have to get on that scoreboard. And a guy like Barrett Hayden needs to produce some more. I like his game. I like his defensive game. He's good in his own zone. But he's got to produce more. And it's funny that Brassard and Kajula and I think Tyler Pitlick have more points than Clayton Keller. So Keller's got to clean it up. But as it stands now, the Coyotes had a bit of a rough 10 games to start the season. I always envisioned these 10 games to be their preseason exhibition, get their legs going. I'm not too down in the dumps about the team. They're playing average. Their division's a bit weak on the bottom end, but they got to push some of these games to overtime. They have 3 regulation losses where they lose by 1 goal. So those are games that you need to focus, push to overtime, grab those points, because as it starts to come near to the end of the season, we might go based on points percentage. So the more points you get, no matter if you lose in overtime or win in overtime, it's good to get those points. And they're facing good teams. 4 games against Vegas, 6 games against St. Louis. They haven't even played the Los Angeles Kings yet. So maybe it's good that they're saving 8 of their games for the end of the season against the LA Kings. They could pick up some easy points, hopefully, against the Kings. They still got, I think, 6 more games against Anaheim and San Jose. So as the season goes on, those rebuilding teams are going to lose their mojo. Minnesota had a hot start. I think they were 6-2, but now they're 6-5. So they're starting to come back down to earth. And I was hoping this back-to-back against Minnesota would have been a test, but because those games are canceled, we won't see Minnesota for a while. So, the Coyotes got to play better. Yeah, 100% they got to play better. They got to play a full 60 minutes. You kind of got to stop turtling near the end of the game. For whatever reason, why they do that, they got to rectify that issue. Goal scoring is okay. It could be better, but it's not a huge problem. I think a huge problem is their save percentage and goals against. Yes, you want their goal production to increase a little bit, but they're maintaining the same pace as last season, even without Taylor Hall. So they're not going to get shut out 1-0 every game. So I think if you take those 2 games out, their goal production is fine. It's more that their defensive coverage, a couple of these games were really bad, and they got to shore that up. Like I said, Ilya Lyubushkin kind of shuts down some of that high offensive pressure from the Blues on Thursday night. So more of that, and hopefully Oliver Ekman-Larsson comes back in about a couple of days. Hopefully by the time they come back home to Arizona to face the Blues. But, 10 games without your captain, well, it's pretty much 7.5 games without your captain. So maybe he's a missing piece. Hopefully he comes back and the Coyotes start to go on a run. They have to win more than 1 game in a row. This team is yet to win 2 in a row to start the season. And so they gotta string wins together, full stop. You just have to in the NHL. That's how you become a great hockey team. You string together wins, 3 or 4 wins in a row, 1 loss, and then you pick it right back up. That's how good teams stay good in the NHL. In terms of COVID, the Coyotes are one of the best teams in terms of COVID, even though they allow fans in their building, and they're one of the huge hot spots in the U.S. They haven't had any cases yet. They've been pretty good, excellent even. Besides the Canadian teams, they're one of the best American teams in terms of COVID and COVID protocol, and in terms of just passing the disease around. unfortunate that Minnesota and Colorado are facing the virus, and even the Vegas Golden Knights were off for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Vegas is finally playing again tonight against the Los Angeles Kings. And the other West Division, the Central Division, was just ripped apart due to COVID. I mean, Nashville, you had Dallas at the beginning of the season, some Tampa games, Florida games, Carolina games, and even that Metropolitan Division, the Capitals and New Jersey fell to the disease a lot. So good on the Coyotes to rectify that potential issue that could derail their season. So just keep whatever they're doing, just keep it up, and just focus on hockey, focus on getting points in these close games, and should be good. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support.